Hey everyone, it's Types, and in the standard format, there are not any banned cards because, banning cards is generally a sign that a card is not so well designed or cards around it aren't so well designed or something like that. But in expanded format, there are a good chunk of banned cards which are banned due to various reasons. And I was recently reading an article, I guess, skimming through this article in PokeCat book. I will say this article is pretty good, except it's in Japanese, so it's auto-translated here. I'm not going to be going over it because like Appleby, yeah, some of the names or like all of the names are incorrect here, and there's some other wacky stuff, of course, due to translation. But I was reading this and I was like, yeah, the ban cards are interesting, and some of these cards I don't think should be banned. So say I'm going over five that I don't think should be. If you're not familiar with expanded, it's a format where it is black and white on black and white, and then XY, Sun and Moon, Sword and Shield, Scarlet and Violet, and then also the Mega Era. The Mega Era has like one set or two, or I guess a few more in Japan actually. But regardless, it's five and a little bit eras of the Pokemon TCG. And so there's a lot of different things going on. So unsurprisingly, there are some interactions that are overpowered or certain gameplay like directions of the gameplay that Pokemon has kind of changed their mind on. So that's why we see banned cards. The most recent banned card in terms of when I was actually banned was actually due to a Mega Evolution interaction, which is the Flapple card here with Force of Vitality, a Mega Era card. But the actual newest card that has been banned is actually also Flapple or Scoop, not in terms of time, but in terms of when it like time was printed, which were early Sword and Shield era cards. So no cards that have been printed recently have been banned. Though again, they have been banned due to interactions with newer cards. But today, as I said, I have some that I think shouldn't be banned, some that I think are on the fence. The reason cards are banned is because they're super, super, super broken. Pokemon doesn't really like to ban cards much in general. Unlike I think other games, there's a lot more bans. But yeah, Pokemon really likes to avoid doing it unless it's super broken. So there's three things, or I don't know. There's a few things. So the main one that's banned is if there's a way to win turn one going first, or mess with your opponent in a really detrimental way turn one going first, like Red Card or Marshadow. These disrupt your opponent's hand turn one going first. There is no counterplay outside of maybe you could counter Marshadow by playing something like Klefki, but you need to start it unless you're playing like quad Klefki or something like that. So for the most part, there's no counterplay at all if you end up going a second against these cards, which is just a coin flip there. And then there's also some cards that are just like absurd combo cards, which I'll actually talk about now as honorable mentions here, which are going to be Unknown and Flapple. And these cards have infinite combos that win the game. And generally, the Pokemon TCG doesn't really have infinite combos at all. In the expanded format, there's one infinite combo involving Eternatus VMAX and some other cards. When I say infinite combo, it's like, I guess it's infinite. I don't know exactly what constitutes an infinite combo. Like you could have something like Mega Venusaur EX and infinitely move energy back and forth. That doesn't do anything, right? But with Eternatus VMAX, you can get essentially all your energy from this card into play infinitely, but you don't have an infinite amount of energy there. I don't even know how good that combo is. I think it's just kind of meh. But some of these combos, the two infinite combos that are banned here are the Unknown Damage combo, which Unknown Damage is actually the payoff for the combo, and then the Flapple combo, which I guess Flapple is also the payoff for the combo, but it's also like a piece of the combo. As I said, Flapple is the newest card banned because it interacted with Force Vitality. By the way, Force Giant Plants should definitely be banned. This one can win turn one. As I was saying, that was the reason cards can be banned. But Flapple can not win turn one, I don't believe. Maybe turn one going second might be possible there, but pretty much once you set up there, there's like almost no counterplay. Again, there is ability lock, and there's a few different things, because what this card does is it puts two damage counters on one of your opponent's Pokemon, and then shuffles itself and the attached cards back into your deck. You can use this in combination with Force of Vitality to play it over and over again on your turn. And you can keep drawing it through the use of Porygon Z. And I think the combo is actually here. We could just look at the visuals. Oh, no, that sure is not a visual. Well, anyways, use Porygon Z. You use like drawing energy cards, and then you return to your hand using Jump Off. I actually made a video on this deck in live, the trainer trial, and it doesn't have all the pieces, so it didn't work very well. But the combo is once it's going, it just wins the game. But it's also really long, so they're not really fun. But I don't know. I mean, infinite combos in the Pokemon TCG haven't really been explored because I guess Pokemon doesn't. I mean, I wouldn't say they're super fun, but again, Pokemon's not really explored them. This one is overpowered. The one with unknown damage is also overpowered. This one you just need a bunch of damage counters in play. There's an infinite combo. Maybe that one is shown here. Let's see. Yeah, so what you do is you need these cards here. You need Unique List to move damage counters around. You need a handful, like one of a few stadiums. Then you need this Klefki and this Weavile. None of these cards aren't live, so you can't do it. You can actually do a variation, which will work, involving Porygon Z and draw energy in enriching energy. But anyways, you then just play your Pokemon over and over again, and then you get a bunch of damage on your board, and then you just win. And so again, there's like not really counterplay outside of like ability lock or something like that. So these combos are a bit overpowered, but they are conceptually, I don't know, there's kind of something there. And they're also kind of fun cards, ignoring the infinite combo aspect as well. But I understand why they're banned, so they're just honorable mentions. But there's a space to be explored there. Maybe, I don't know. I know in other games, infinite combos can be interesting, and even with like some of the infinite combos like the Eternus VMAX 1, where you get some interesting payoff. I think they're kind of cool there, but I do understand why they are banned here. Then we have the last honorable mention. This is a card that's just overpowered. I guess I'll also mention the other reason cards are banned. Obviously, it can just be banned because they're too strong. Like Shaman EX is like just too strong. I mean, I don't know. This card is like super overpowered. But and same thing with Scoop Net. These cards actually interact with each other, which I'll get to in just a second here. But then also the other reason is Handlock. This is a way where your opponents, like, you get rid of all the cards in your opponent's hand essentially, or like overpowered control stuff as well, which like kind of is grouped in with that. And those cards, like again, turn one going first, you can kind of do that. Something like Red Card disrupts your opponent's hand, but if you do something like Delinquent, Justin James, Lieutenant Surge's Strategy, or a number of different things, you can completely obliterate your opponent's hand. And there's not really anything they can do about it, as I said, with a lot of these different things. But Scoop of Net is a little different here. It says it's an item, and I actually made a whole video on this, so you could check that out. I would include this on the list. I don't think it should be unbanned in the state that it's in, but I think it should be errated and reprinted back in the standard, because it's really cool. But it says you put a Pokemon that isn't a V or GX into your hand, you discard the attached cards. But this is cool, allowing you to do some interesting things. Reusabilities is the main one there, but it does some other things. And it's cool, but it obviously works with EXs and the other EXs as well, and that's kind of broken. That's the reason it got banned, specifically for no, not Shaman EX. It got banned for Iron Valiant EX, but it's overpowered with Shaman EX, allowing you to pretty much draw your whole deck turn one. But Shaman EX is also banned, as I said. So we can win turn one going first with Iron Valiant EX, theoretically, and I actually made a video on that, playing that in Pokemon TCG Live. And so this card is broken, but I think if it got eroded, it would be cool. But moving on to the first card actually on this list, as I said, I think the other cards, there is something to be explored, but they should probably be banned. But Milotic is interesting here. This is a card I'm not super familiar with. I am familiar with the deck in which it got banned for, but you have the ability here, Energy Grace. You can knock it out, then accelerate 3 basic energies from your discard to one of your Pokemon other than Pokemon EX. There is this I was gonna say it's a misconception. It's not exactly a misconception, but like there's a bunch of cards that are banned for knocking themselves out. Milotic obviously knocks itself out. There is Duskull with Dusclops, which knocks itself out. Dusclops is not banned because it knocks. Well, Dusclops isn't banned. Duskull is not banned because it enables you to knock yourself out. Knocking yourself out is bad. The way that you can win with it, you can actually stop giving a prize when you knock yourself out. But anyways, and then the Mismagius is also banned, partially because it knocks itself out, but more so because it like draws a bunch of cards. It's really powerful. And then there was also this Milotic that knocks itself out. And Milotic here is a card, as I said, that accelerates a bunch of energy, but you do give up a prize, which is like a noticeable downside here. It accelerates to any Pokemon that's non-EX, so it was paired with Trevenant and Dusknoir Tag Team GX, which was a really, or is, it's not banned, a really disruptive Pokemon GX, and same thing with Gengar and Mimikyu. That does not mean Milotic, but it's in this same deck here. And yeah, I'm not gonna lie, a lot of these cards are super annoying. I'm personally not a big fan of the super annoying stuff in expanded. we'll look at like Garbodor, Alolan Muck, Wobbuffet, and then Trevenant Dusthorn, Gengar Mimikyu, they're just like really annoying. They really mess with your opponent's hand, and the two tag teams there, and then those other Pokemon to really stop your opponent from. I think yeah, they're all ability locked there. So, um, yeah, you're gonna find yourself being able to really limit your opponent with these cards. And Milotic is really not supposed to accelerate to Rulebox Pokemon. When it was printed, it didn't, or at least in Standard, it didn't. I don't know what expanded was created. I'm not gonna lie, but I'm pretty sure this was out when expanded was created, and so it actually all the Pokemon expanded that were Roblox Pokemon were EXs, unless I'm forgetting like a certain mechanic, maybe breaks, but those were a little later. Regardless, this is like really powerful with V's and the new EXs and GXs and stuff. I will say I don't know if it's like super broken overpowered. As I was saying, there's a lot of really powerful cards in Expanded. It's supposed to be a format with more powerful cards than Standard. That's the whole reason why it exists. There's some crazy powerful cards in the stack. Probably half of these are like would be top 5 cards if they're printed in Standard right now. I feel like Milotic has some fun things it can do, and the problematic aspects are the other things around it. So it could also be errata, but that's not what we're talking about today. Generally, there's a lot of cards that just could use erratas to be a bit better balanced and expanded. The Ultimate Milotic is fun for, accelerates energy to your board. It's strong, right? It's definitely strong. Getting a bunch of energy onto your board with relatively little limitations, but you do give a prize. That is meaningful. And there are certain ways to take advantage of giving up prizes, which we'll actually talk about a little bit later in the video. But yeah, my low deck I don't think is the biggest issue. I'm interested in hearing people's thoughts in the comment section. This is definitely the one that I'm least confident about being that it should be unbanned, or the one I have the weakest argument. But I do think it is a cool card, and well, it is a little strong, and the things it's paired with are annoying. There's a lot of stuff like that in the format, and I feel like it has some really cool things it can do as well that aren't like super broken. Then we have the next card here, which, hear me out, Archeops. Archeops, I'm not gonna lie, I don't like this card. I actually don't want it to be unbanned. But I think there's a valid argument for it to be unbanned. Honestly, I'm going to use this more as an argument to ban other cards. I'm not going to lie. But this is a card here with the ability Ancient Power. It's a stage 1, I guess. It's a stage 2 really, but each player can't put any Pokemon or play any Pokemon from their hand to evolve their Pokemon, and this is obviously not fun to play against, right? Because you can't play evolutions. There are ways to cheat out evolutions like Evo Soda is one. I don't know if cheat out evolutions is like really the right term, but it allows you to get past Archeops, and there's a few different things like that. You can actually get the other Archeops into play using Lugia V-Star and things like that. Generally, evolutions are considered, I don't know if I'd say more fun than basics, but certainly a format with evolutions is good, and evolutions, like for a variety of evolutions, not just Archeops. So this card is super annoying, really shuts down strategies. My reason for saying that it shouldn't necessarily be banned is because if we look at the expanded format, wait, it's going to be kind of hard to find expanded decks, isn't it? If we look at some recent expanded tournaments here, where is it? We can see that people are playing things like Vileplume, and I mentioned Garbodor, and these cards completely shut down abilities and items. And yeah, most decks in the game rely pretty heavily on honestly both of those things, right? If you look at the best deck in the game right now, Regidrago V-Star, you see that it doesn't rely too heavily on abilities, I guess. Like you can attack without them, but like every Pokemon in the deck that you're playing outside of Badoo, and I guess the basic Regidrago V is here for its ability. Well, no, Regidrago V Star is not here for its ability, but it has an ability that's useful. So for the most part, there's a lot of powerful abilities in the format, and most of the cool decks in the format are based around abilities. So something like Garbodor is going to be really shutting things down. And then also, if you look at items, if we just look at this deck again, you see there's a good chunk of items, not like an absurd amount, but items are obviously important in the Pokemon TCG. We see Badoo in Standard and in Expanded, and that's a powerful card, but it's a card you need to commit a resource, as in your attack for the turn, to use. Versus with Vileplume, when it's in play, and just like Archeops, where is it? Oh, it was on a different tab. Anyways, Vileplume is a card that is something that's going to stop your opponent from playing items. It does stop you as well, but it is strong enough that it's really disruptive. You don't need to commit many resources to it once it's going. It's just going. Your opponent doesn't really have much counterplay to it in a very similar way to Archeops. And honestly, I think they should ban Vileplume. I'm not gonna lie. I think they should ban Vileplume. I think they should ban Archeops. I think these cards are really not fun to play against. This is actually why I'm really happy they're not in Pokemon TCG Live. I know a lot of people want Full Spin in Pokemon TCG Live. Honestly, I haven't heard that many good reasons. I mean, the best reason is that like they said it was going to be there, and I guess the issue is that they can't get it in because they're not capable. But anyways, this isn't a video hating on live. But yeah, these cards are really annoying. There's a bunch of them, and yeah, they're not fun. Archeops is within that category. It's like the only one banned, I think. I'm trying to think if there's another card that's like this complete lock. There's also Hexamaniac, kind of like that. How different is this thing, Garbodor? I mean, Garbodor has some counterplay. Hexmaniac like doesn't really have counterplay, I guess, but um, it's interesting in GLC. I mean, it's not banned in GLC. It's kind of cool there, but regardless, there's a bunch of cards like this, and I don't think Archeops is necessarily the worst of them. I don't know. I'm not saying it shouldn't be banned, but compared to the other cards, I don't know if it should be banned over them, is what I'm saying. There is a reason that it should be banned, which is that it works really well with Magnus Hidden Ball Trick. Turn 1 going first, you can get the Archeops into play, and you can stop your opponent from evolving entirely. Except that's not true, right? Because one, Max's Hidden Ball Trick is banned, and two, also, you can't play at turn 1, right? So this used to be banned because you could play at turn 1. It's really powerful with some fighting evolution Pokemon. Cheating them into play, you just put a fighting Pokemon from your discard onto your bench, then draw 5 if it's the last card in your hand. So it requires some setup. This card saw some play in some different decks, mostly paired with I think it was mostly paired with the Archeops. I'm not super familiar with it. What is this deck? I'm not familiar with this deck at all. Is this standard? It might be. Anyways, so it was paired with Archeops and some other things. Some of the things it did was pretty cool. There's actually another card that's pretty much the same as this, which is Archie's Ace in the Hole. They are essentially the same, except the one's fighting and the one's water. The reason this is banned is because it's overpowered with some fighting evolutions. Again, there's kind of Archeops, but Archeops was actually banned first. So there is Kabutops. Kabutops, what it says is, if it's your active, your opponent can't play any supporters. And there's Omastar, which says that, there we go, it loaded. If it's in play and you have less Pokemon in play than your opponent's item locked. Omastar, obviously item locking just your opponent and not yourself is stronger than Vileplume, but Vileplume's like still super strong. I'd say these are on a similar level. Again, I'm not saying that these are super fun, but yeah, I mean, I don't think like this is a reason necessarily to ban Maxes, especially because you can't do this turn 1 going first. And then also, and you can get Vileplume to play turn 1 going second, right? Using there's a few different ways. And then there's also, as I said, the Kabutops. Kabutops is supporter lock, which is like kind of nasty, I guess. I'd rather probably be supporter lock than item lock, being completely honest, but it kind of depends. But anyways, it also does some really cool things, though. As I was showing off some other decks playing it, you can pair it with stuff like this Gallade or this Machoke for some fun little value. And it's a pretty strong draw supporter in a sense as well. But it's just a really cool card allowing you to play these weird stage 2s that are like not strong enough to set up with the entire evolution. I mean, this card did see play evolving into it, but it saw a lot of play not evolving into it as well. It's not like the most absurd stage 2 ever in a format that's like mostly basics. So I think that it enables some really fun things. It's a really expanded feeling card. I don't even think it's like super broken. Again, it does enable some kind of annoying things, so I kind of see why it's banned. But I mean, they made the supporter rule change, so you can't play a turn 1 going first. They banned Archeops, and yeah, I mean, if they thought these other cards were huge issues, I mean, they're doing exactly what they say, right? Kabutops is doing exactly what it says. If you think it's problematic doing what it says, then maybe it is, and they should ban this card or not have printed it. But yeah, I mean, Max's makes it a little faster, kind of, and a little more consistent, I guess, but it's not like these other cards it's being paired with are all of a sudden super broken just because of Maxis, and it has some really cool stuff you can do. This is definitely the card I want unbanned the most out of all of them, except for Scoopin. I think Scoopin is really cool, but that probably shouldn't be unbanned. Maxis probably should be. Then we have Island Challenge Amulet. Oh, also I didn't say this. There have been cards unbanned in the past. Expanded isn't like kept up that much, but this isn't like an unprecedented thing. But then we have Island Challenge Amulet. This is a card that says the Pokemon GX or EX this card is attached to gets minus 100 HP. Then when it's knocked out, it gives up one less prize. The idea here of this card is pretty simple, that you slap it on an EX or GX, and then it gives up one less prize. Turning your multi-prizer essentially into a single prizer. I guess it could be a tag team, turning it into a two-prizer as well. This card is seen play in Standard in... Apparently someone played it in Pikachu VMAX. It was played in some different decks. This was in a weird era, the Pokemon TCG, where there weren't as many tournaments that would actually be reported on this page here. But anyways, it was played in like some tag team decks where you have a lot of search and some different things. Not going to get into it too much now. Other things this was played in was kind of cool, except for the reason it got banned in Expanded, which is Amulet Handlock. So what you do in this deck is that you use Jirachi EX. Jirachi EX actually has 90 HP, which is less than or equal to 100 HP, meaning that when you attach the tool, the what's it called, the Island Challenge Amulet to Jirachi EX, then it gets knocked out and gives up a prize. And then you do this, and then you pair this. You can do this turn one going first. You can knock yourself out. You can use Lieutenant Surge's strategy, pair it with, and you knock yourself out a bunch of times. You can knock yourself out. With this list, I believe 5 times. Yeah, I believe at most 5. Anyways, you do that, and then you play Lieutenant Surge's strategy, then you play Add, and then you play Mars. This gets rid of your opponent's entire hand. Then from there, you chip Ice Axe them so they can't top deck anything. And then you like European and Garchomp GX them as well, and then you like win. I don't know. I'm not exactly sure how you win. I mean, they don't have any cards in their hand, so you'll win. Because they can't do anything there. But anyways, the broken part about this is that you can do this turn one going first as well, potentially. Except, again, you can't. They changed the supporter rules, so you can't do this turn one going first. Also, you can't do this because like half the cards in this deck are banned. Mismagius is banned. Lieutenant Surge's strategy is banned. Chip Ice Axe is also banned. Shame is also banned. That's not like the only reason that you can pull the combo off, but it is banned. Puzzle of Time's also banned. This card's kind of cool. It's like super powerful recovery, but it is a fun little card here. I considered putting into this video, but it's kind of broken. But anyways, yeah, like as I said, a bunch of the pieces in this combo are banned, so I feel like Island Challenge Amulet isn't like a huge issue. Yes, you can use it paired turn one going second with something like Anna or Iono to disrupt your opponent's hand, theoretically down to 1 in hand. I don't know if there's ways to knock yourself out turn one going second as consistently as this. I'm not super familiar with all the ways to do it, but also like there are a lot of really powerful things you can do turn one going second and Expanded theoretically, and if you want to do it this way, you'd be giving up like 5 prizes, which is like a lot, right? That's all of them except for 1, or you're giving up a lot of prizes, so that's theoretically like bad. And then also you can you need to like play a bunch of Pokemon and tools. They're not impossible to find by any means, but they're not like free. So that's like doable, but I wouldn't say it's like free or super broken. And then also there are other ways to completely mess with your opponent's hand, like the card I mentioned earlier, Gengar Mimikyu, which literally stops your opponent from playing anything. If you go second, you can just attack with it. Your opponent can't play anything next turn. That's all it says. And so, well, that's not all it says, but that's part of what it says there. And yeah, that card is allowed in the format, and I'd say that's potentially more broken than Jirachi, because then from there you can pair it with some of the disrupt. You can, like, for example, knock yourself out a bunch of times with whatever. There's certainly ways to do it turn 2 going second pretty easily, and then you can hit them with like N or whatever. Then you could you could power up Trevenant Dusknoir GX, and then N your opponent or whatever, and then get rid of all the cards in their hand. Long story short, it's not that hard to do. It's not like super easy, but it's, I'd say, on par with this combo here. And, if this was like the piece that they decided to ban because they wanted to make this deck not super broken, I'd get it. But they also, as I said, banned a lot of other cards in this combo here. So it seems kind of weird. It's not like the coolest card, I'm going to be completely honest. Reducing the HP of your GX or EX, then making it a 1 prizer. It's like kind of fun. It's kind of situational as well, but it's kind of a cool card. There's a few situations where I've been like, oh, I want to put it into my deck, and it's like, oh, I can't. It's banned. Also in Pokemon TCG Live, it's banned. It should not be banned in Pokemon TCG Live. I mean, it's banned because it's banned in full expanded, but I mean, Jirachi EX isn't even legal, and that's the reason it's banned. But anyways, it's a fun little card here. It's not the most interesting card in my opinion, but I don't think it should be banned because the other pieces in the combo are also banned. You don't need to ban all of them. Then we have the last card here, which is Unknown, or Unknown Hand is what most people, what I call it certainly. There's a few unknowns, as I said. There is the Unknown damage involved in an infant combo. There's also Unknown Lost, which is super terrible. There's three of them. There's Unknown Lost, Unknown Hand, and Unknown Damage in this set. If then the active and you beat a certain condition, you win. The Unknown Lost one, by the way, is like essentially impossible. I think you need to have your opponent needs to have 12 supporters in their Lost Zone, which is like most decks don't even play 12 supporters, so it's not even possible in most situations. And even if it's theoretically possible, it's realistically actually not going to be possible to like get 12 supporters from your opponent's deck into the Lost Zone. But anyways, this one you need 35 or more cards in hand. And this is hard to do. I played this in Pokemon TCG Live. It felt really fair and really fun. I'm not saying it's perfect because it's a deck with an alternate win condition your opponent has limited interaction with, unless they have interaction with, in which case you just kind of lose. So it's like this game of like countering your opponent's cards with certain things. There's some interesting things about it. The reason this was banned was because, I mean, is a payoff or like a win condition in control-based decks. I don't think this is a control deck, but there are ways to get a big hand of this deck, I guess. But then, if we look at just some random Spider Lock, I'm not familiar with this. Oh, it's okay, sorry, I'm getting sidetracked here. But anyways, you have like control-based decks. There's a bunch of them, or like stall decks specifically. Control decks could use it. Stall decks can use it. Lots of different decks that aren't super interesting, to be honest, can use it. But yeah, it's a win condition if you're in a situation where you're in like a bit of a stalemate. Actually, I recently made a video on Xyzix Machinations, which is kind of like a win condition, specifically in tournament play. Most gameplay isn't tournament play, but within those situations, having a win condition card like this can be powerful as it ends the game faster. But most of those situations you're going to win anyways, or you're in a situation where it's a complete stalemate, which case you do need a win condition there. But for the most part, I mean, it's not like broken in those decks. Is it useful? I mean, it's like moderately useful and it's kind of cool. But again, it's not like absurd in those decks. So there's a deck where you can stop your opponent from like kind of doing stuff and draw a bunch of cards. I mean, it's pretty much just a control deck, right? This card I don't actually think is banned, I don't think it's actually banned for a super specific reason. I'm gonna look actually on this website. Oh, it's right here. It says here mostly because as a precautionary measure. This article specifically doesn't really say like a specific reason as to why it's banned. I'm sure there was a specific one. I think they said it's like too powerful in combination with other cards or something like that. Something pretty generic there. So this card is pretty cool in my opinion. It's really unique. There are some situations where it could be too powerful, I guess, but Expanded isn't supposed to be super balanced, or if it is, they're not doing a very good job of it. But overall, it's a really cool and unique card, so I think it shouldn't be banned. It's definitely, again, the most unique of all the cards on the ban list here. That's not maybe Lysander's trump card, which is unique because it's like super broken. But anyways, I hope you enjoyed the video. Make sure you like, subscribe, hit the bell, all that good stuff. Tell me if you have any video suggestions, thoughts on the banned cards, all that good stuff. But as I said, I hope you enjoyed, and as always, I'm excited to see you in the next video.